Wow. Andrew Haigh, you did it again. You broke me. Hey up everyone! So, continuing the London Film Festival coverage, today's movie I'm going to be discussing on the channel is the latest film from acclaimed British filmmaker Andrew Haigh, the highly anticipated drama All of Us Strangers. This was probably my most anticipated film to see at the London Film Festival. If you guys are familiar with my channel, then you'll know that as a gay man, Andrew Haigh's Weekend occupies a very special place in my heart. I'll pop a link up here if you want to check out my thoughts on his debut feature. There was a lot of buzz for this film out of the Telluride and New York Film Festivals, which only amplified my anticipation. So yeah, a lot of hype surrounding this film, which did make me nervous that it wasn't going to live up to my expectations. But now that I've seen the film, I can say that not only did it meet my expectations, it shattered them, along with my heart and my soul. Like, my physical body might be right here, right now in this room recording this video, but my soul is in little pieces somewhere on the Picture House cinema floor. I don't like to use this word all too often because I feel it gets thrown around a bit too much in film discourse and it kind of loses its impact, but for me, All of Us Strangers truly is a genuine masterpiece. Easily the best film I have seen at the London Film Festival. I will be shocked if anything tops this. And no, I don't include Poor Things or Killers of the Flower Moon because I saw them at other festivals. But as much as I want to pull my guts out and talk in detail about this film, I do have to be delicate in this review because this really is one of those films where the less you know about it before you see it, the better. This is the type of film where even explaining the plot kind of feels like a spoiler, and I don't want to take away from anyone's experience of watching this for the first time. I'm planning to do a separate deep dive discussion video on this film once I see it again and have absorbed it a little more, so if you don't want to miss that, yeah, click the subscribe button. I have so much I want to say about this film, but this is going to be a bread and butter review. I'm going to give you the vaguest synopsis I can, and then I'm going to tell you how the film made me feel. Spoiler alert, it's devastated. All of Us Strangers is loosely based off the 1987 Japanese novel Strangers by Taichi Yamada. Andrew Haigh has switched the setting from Japan to London, as well as the genders and sexual orientations of the central characters. The story is centered around the character of Adam, who's played in this film by Andrew Scott, who is a TV and film script writer who lives alone in a newly built and mostly unoccupied high-rise on the outskirts of London. One night, an enigmatic neighbor called Harry, played by Paul Mescal, knocks on his door and punctures, oh yes, the rhythm of Adam's life. That didn't come from me, that was from Wikipedia. After they strike up a romantic relationship, Adam's memories from the past draw him back to his hometown of Dorking, where it appears his parents are living as they were on the day they died 30 years ago, when Adam was almost 12 years old. That's it, that's all you're getting, because even that kind of still feels a little bit spoilery, but it's necessary to mention it because it's what the whole film is about. If this were a twist at the end of the movie, then yeah, wouldn't mention it, but because this is the setup for the whole story, it kind of needs to be discussed. You might be thinking to yourself, oh, it's a ghost story. It's not. There's nothing really supernatural about the film at all. It's really just a coping mechanism of Adam, this manifestation of his own memories of his parents in order to help him grieve and move on with his life. So yeah, I wouldn't say there's anything supernatural about this film. It's more metaphysical and surreal, like something you would see in a stage play, but it completely works in the context of a film. So yeah, what did I think of All of Us Strangers? Whew. Guys, this film floored me. Where it left me was in a place of utter devastation. And when I left the cinema, everybody that I spoke to about this film was kind of lost for words. We were all like in a collective state of shock. That's how powerful this film is. We all needed to come up for air because of just how moved we were by it. And what makes All of Us Strangers a truly special film is that it's a film that's operating on so many different levels of meaning and interpretation. As a gay man, I fully connected to the characters of Adam and Harry, as well as the story. Like, there are so many moments in this film which are quintessentially part of the gay experience, so I resonated with it on a deep level. But calling All of Us Strangers just a gay movie is a disservice because It transcends from being just a gay movie because it's exploring so many universal struggles, whether it be familial trauma, grief, or loneliness. Every person I spoke to after the screening, gay or straight, connected with this film for different but personal reasons. This film isn't just one thing. It's shot with such ethereal precision by Andrew Haigh that it leaves things ambiguous enough for the viewer to decide what the film means to them. Cinematographer James Ramsey shot the film on 35mm lens and uses such soft but sensual lighting. He makes the London landscape look like a twinkling night sky. It is some of the most gorgeous cinematography I've seen all year. All of Us Strangers also features a quartet of incredible performances from Andrew Scott, Paul Mescal, Claire Foy, and Jamie Bell. Andrew Scott is most definitely the standout. He's kind of better known for theatre, but I honestly don't think he's been better in any film or TV show as this. I think most people just know him as the hot priest from Fleabag, but I'm so excited for audiences to see what he's capable of. He is a knockout in this. Andrew Scott is 46 years old in real life and is also openly gay, and he beautifully conveys so many of the nuances of what it would be like for a young boy growing up during the time of the Thatcher administration, as well as the AIDS pandemic. He's got that thick outer shell that comes from years of schoolyard taunting, as well as internalized gay shame, and also the fear at the time that any sexual encounter that he might have had could have killed him. And he conveys so much of that pain just through his eyes. Like, honestly, Scott's ocular performance is astounding. It's a performance of such raw vulnerability. All I wanted to do was give his character a hug. Paul Mescal is also terrific as the empathetic and sweet Harry. By contrast to Adam, he is a lot younger. Paul Mescal is only 27 years old in real life, so yeah, his character would have grown up in a time that's more progressive and had better knowledge and education on how to have safe sex as a gay man. He's probably had access to PrEP since, if not all, at least most of his time that he's been sexually active. But despite all that, he still has just as many problems as Adam does. There's a line of dialogue where he says, "I felt like a stranger in my own family," which just goes to show that while progress has been made, the struggles of gay men in the past are still the struggles of today's queer youth, longing for parental acceptance and feeling loved and wanted. So yeah, Paul Mescal is wonderful in this. He's got electrifying chemistry with Andrew Scott, but I can't understate how good Claire Foy and Jamie Bell are also in this film. I actually think the scenes with Adam and his parents are the most emotionally effective of the film. In fact, I will say at a certain point in this film, I think it's about halfway, where there's a scene between Andrew Scott and Jamie Bell. I won't say what happens, but from that scene onward, there was constant tears in my eyes or rolling down my cheek. The latter half of this film is so achingly sad, and not just because of the heartbreaking performances. There's the melancholy score by Emily Leviernay's Farouche, as well as the inspired soundtrack choices, which include the Pet Shop Boys' Always on My Mind, whose lyrics take on a double meaning once Claire Foy's character starts singing them. The House Martians build during a steamy scene with Mescal and Scott. And what After Sun did for Under Pressure, this film does for The Power of Love. You might not be able to hear that song the same way again once you've watched this film. I also can't forget the genius use of Blur's Death of a Party, which is used in a masterful sequence where Adam and Harry go to the Royal Vauxhall Tavern, little plug for a great gay bar in London, to dance, and they take ketamine. This whole sequence is masterfully edited together because the film has this undertow of what is real, what is fantasy, and the introduction of ketamine begs us, the audience, to question whether what we're seeing is real or just a drug-induced hallucination. A shout out to editor Jonathan Alberts, that whole sequence was superb. The truth is there is no shortage of standout scenes in this film, but my personal favorite, and might be tied now with Oppenheimer's gymnasium scene for my favorite scene of the year, is this lovely little scene where Adam climbs into bed with his mum and dad and has this lovely little pillow talk with his mum. I'm not going to say too much else about it, but it's a one-take scene which is pure cinematic magic in terms of the writing, the performances, and just how they pulled it off. I really want to know how many takes it took. Honestly, I would give Andrew Haigh a Best Director nomination just for that scene alone. And whilst we're on the subject, shall we discuss its Oscars chances? This is a film that I am personally going to be championing to get Oscars attention because I do think it's the type of film that may struggle at the Oscars. I think it's one of those films that I think runs the risk of being a little too surreal and subdued to grab the Academy's attention. Which is why I am going to be loud and speak on its behalf by saying that this film absolutely deserves to be nominated in multiple Oscar categories. Best Picture, Director, Best Actor for Andrew Scott, Best Supporting Actress for Claire Foy, Cinematography, editing. But honestly, I do think this film will have difficulty catching fire. I know this is a film that critics love, but how are regular moviegoers and Academy voters going to respond to it? Is its subject matter just a little bit too niche? I think it's going to struggle to get any of the nominations that I just mentioned, but the categories where I think it probably has the best chances of being nominated are for Best Adapted Screenplay for Andrew Haigh. Yeah, I don't see Haigh getting into Best Director, it's just too stacked there, but I can see the Academy giving him his first Oscar nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay. It is such a great screenplay. So much of the dialogue in this film permeated my soul, but then again, I'm the target audience. I'm a big old gay boy, but I haven't written this many beloved quotes of dialogue into my little film notebook since Past Lives. Some of my favorites from this film are, "Queer does sound polite somehow. It's like all the dick sucking has been taken out." "You look totally different, but it's still you." Oh, and this one's lovely. "I should have relished you driving me bananas." Oh, that's just to name a few, but oh my god, give Andrew Haigh the screenplay nomination. There's just something about his writing which is so real and honest. But again, part of me is nervous because, like Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay is also a stacked category this year. But yes, I will be manifesting an Oscar nomination for Andrew Haigh. But what I could see happening is I can see this film doing really well at BAFTA. I can see nominations for all 4 of the acting performances: screenplay, director, editing, cinematography, best British film, best film as well. And what I'm hoping could happen is if it does really well at BAFTA, then maybe Andrew Scott could ride that BAFTA momentum into the Oscars and surprise with a Best Actor nomination. Best Actor is a crowded category this year, and often with the Oscars, the less showy performances like Scott's can fall the wayside. Andrew Scott's performance is certainly emotional, but by comparison, it does seem more subtle compared to some of the people that he's up against, like Bradley Cooper, Colman Domingo. But hey, Paul Mescal did it last year for Aftersun. Is this Andrew Scott's turn? I would love to see it happen. Paul Mescal is wonderful in this. Could he do like a reverse Barry Keoghan with Saltburn this year? Like ride the success of his nomination for Best Actor last year and end up in supporting this year, and vice versa for Barry Keoghan? It's possible, but I think it's unlikely to happen because it is, again, a stacked category. And if Paul Mescal's gonna struggle, it's probably gonna be an even harder challenge for Jamie Bell to show up here. Claire Foy has had a terrible time of it trying to get that first Oscar nomination. She was snubbed for First Man, completely overlooked in general for Women Talking. Is third time the charm for her? Again, it's not the biggest, showiest performance, so she might have difficulty standing out, but what might actually help Claire Foy is the fact that Best Supporting Actress this year is looking a little thin this year, so maybe she could show up. As for Best Picture, if it did get in, I would be elated. All of Us Strangers doesn't strike me as a typical Best Picture nominee, but there are enough exceptional qualities about this film that with the right campaign, it could potentially show up. It's certainly a little bit of wishful thinking on my part, but if it does manage to get into Best Picture, then the nomination is a win in itself. But Searchlight Pictures do have a lot on their plate this year, what with Poor Things. Just realizing now, though, Searchlight have produced 2 of my favorite movies of 2023, All of Us Strangers and Poor Things, so bravo. But if you are watching Searchlight Pictures, please give as much love to the Strangers campaign as you do the Poor Things campaign. So yes, I will be cheerleading my hardest for this film, but I'm not going to get my hopes too high because I have been hurt by the Academy before. But I do want to hear from you guys. What do you think of All of Us Strangers' Oscar chances? What nominations is it going to get? What categories? Whatever you think, let me know in that comment section down below. Right then, let's ask them 3 questions. Firstly, would I watch this again? I can't watch this film again soon enough. Like, I am hungry to watch this film again because I feel like I need multiple watches to absorb the deeper meaning of this film more. Like, the last shot alone left me with so much to ponder. So yeah, I need to watch this film again in order to do my deep dive discussion on it. But yes, I'm going to be watching this film numerous times over the course of my life, and yes, you can expect to see it on the wall at some point. Question 2, do I recommend it for you guys? Oh my god, yes. I know there's bound to be some people that find the concept of the film a bit weird, but I do want to encourage everybody to go check out this film. This is film at its most potent and raw. It's not just a gay film, it's an exploration of loss, family drama, and loneliness There is something in here that everyone will connect with. Honestly, this film is like therapy, but a heck of a lot cheaper. It will break your heart, but then it will also allow you to heal from it. If you liked films like Past Lives, After Sun, and of course Weekend, then you are going to love this film. That's who I recommend this film for. And third question, what score do I give it out of 10? All of Us Strangers is a deeply effective and evocative film that touches the heart and the soul. It's a story about reconciling with the past and finding closure with it. It's a film that will make you want to hug your parents. In fact, stop what you're doing right now. If you are lucky enough to still have your parents around, pick up the phone and tell them that you love them, okay? For all those times that was left unsaid, for all those hugs that were never exchanged, do it now whilst you can. Never have I watched a movie and wanted to call my parents and tell them how much I love them as much as I did with All of Us Strangers. This film is gonna stay with me for weeks, months even. It'll probably be a source of strange comfort when I'm going through difficult patches in my life. Which I know is a weird thing to say because I know how devastatingly sad this film is, but there is catharsis embedded within the sorrow. But yeah, this film really is a masterpiece for me. So I'm gonna give All of Us Strangers a score of 10 out of 10. And yes, it is most certainly a film that everybody should watch at least once before they die. Thanks so much for listening to me gush, guys. I had a lot of feelings about this film. So if you stuck around to the end of this video, thank you for staying with me this long. This film is most certainly gonna be in my top 10 favorite films of 2023. But I do wanna hear from you guys. Are you excited for All of Us Strangers? Have you seen it? If you did, what did you think of it? How did it affect you? How did it speak to you? Do you think it's gonna get some Oscar nominations? How does it rank for you with all of Andrew Haigh's work? Whatever you have to say about this film, please do let me know in that comment section below. I'm dying to hear your thoughts on this film. If you want more movie, TV, and Oscars related content, don't forget to click subscribe. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. For more things related to movies, TV, the Oscars, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Hairfield, and I'll see you next time. Call your parents.